Alright guys, so let's get started. The first tip that I'm gonna basically throw out there for you guys is, I mean, and it's kind of the easiest one. It's when you first start Warzone, you're gonna want to learn how to drop in out of the plane, like basically how to fly, how to jump out of the plane correctly, and how to land where basically where you want to land, and the best landing spots that you're gonna go for. When you're a noob, when you're kind of just starting off in Warzone, you're probably not gonna want to. You're probably not gonna want to jump into the hottest landing zones. Um, there is where there's a lot of guys, because if you die, you're going to the gulag, and then that's a different animal in itself. The gulag is tough. For a beginner, it can be tough, and if you lose in the gulag, you're done. So, the first bit of advice for anybody new to this style play, the Warzone game, would be, as soon as you jump out of the plane, you're gonna want to probably open your parachute as soon as you can. That way, because you're gonna be able to see where everybody else is landing, and where you don't want to be. So, the first tip I'm gonna give you guys for newbies and for people who are just getting started on the Warzone is open your parachute as soon as you jump out of the plane, so you can see where everybody else on the map is going, and you can basically avoid them, because you don't want to, like I said before, you don't want to jump into the hottest landing zones when you're first getting started, because it can land you in the gulag, and then if you lose, like I said, you lose in the gulag, you're done, and you'll have to go to another game. So tip number one for anybody who's just starting off with um, Warzone would be to open your parachute as soon as you jump out of the plane. That would be tip number one for the newbies. The second tip I would have for you guys is, once you're on the ground and you've picked, you kind of picked yourself a good spot, is try to collect as much armor and as much cash as humanly possible. So, if you don't know Warzone and you haven't played, there's basically boxes scattered throughout the buildings, and you open those boxes, and weapons or cash or kill streaks, or anything to help, things to help you along the way will come out of that box. So to me, the two most important things would be collect as much cash as you can, and as much armor as you can. Now, the cash is important in Warzone because that can also buy you different things. So you can find these different boxes that will allow you to buy certain kill streaks and perks, like UAVs. A UAV can be a lifesaver in Warzone, but we'll get to that later on, guys. So the second tip would be, after you land, and you land in a spot where you think you're pretty safe, I would start collecting the money and start collecting the armor as soon as you can. So that is tip number two. Tip number three is, when you are as you are collecting your money and kind of building up your kind of savings account there, and rummaging through the buildings, I would so this is just me. This is my opinion from playing Warzone a lot, from playing Plunder a lot. I personally tend to lean towards weapons with silencers attached to them, because it downs your signature on the game. Every time you fire your weapon in this game, you show up as a red dot on a map, and you might as well just put a big flag up and say, "Here I am." So I think if you're, me personally, if you're a newbie and you're just getting started in this, you don't want to attract any attention to yourself. So, me personally, I tend to go for the guns that have the silencers attached to them. That is my personal opinion. So, I would lean towards collecting guns with silencers attached to them. As you guys can see on the screen, the rifle that I have has a silencer on it already. That's just the route that I tend to go. You know, less attention to yourself means you can survive longer, and um, surviving longer means more points in Warzone. So that is the name of the game: to survive and last as long as you can. And weapons with silencers definitely help you do that. The next tip would be from me would be keep moving. Keep moving. When you land in Warzone, you're going to be able to check your map. You know, if, when you land in Warzone, you'll hit the ground and you'll be able to press on your. I know for PlayStation, you can press the center button on the controller, and that will pop your map up for you. And you're going to be able to basically see the first circle that's created in Warzone. So that is your first outline. So as soon as you hit the ground, you're going to want to pop that up and check that out. And so once you've established where the circle's going to be, just try and position yourself somewhere in that circle, and remember to keep moving as much as you can. Do not stay still. You have to keep moving, whether it's in a vehicle or on foot. So keep moving. That would be my next piece of advice to you guys as a newbie. Is to stay on the move and stay as quiet as possible. Hence why you have the weapon with a silencer on it. If you do, at some point in the match, accumulate enough money to buy something from one of those said buy boxes that I talked about earlier, my next piece of advice to you would be to buy a UAV. Buy a UAV because that will let you know where your enemies are in comparison to you. And that, again, can be a lifesaver and can help you survive. So that is my next piece of advice. Buy a UAV when you can. Because if you see your enemies before they see you, you can either get a shot off on them, or you'll be able to get out of an area before it gets too hot for you to handle. My next piece of advice is going to be for the newbies, especially. You need to, as much as possible, or as soon as you see one of these, it's called a self-revive kit. Now, when you're going through the buildings and when you're opening up these boxes, or you're walking through some of these areas on the map, they'll randomly be there, but you need to grab yourself a self-revive kit. It can save you a trip to the gulag. It's basically, you get a one-shot deal, and if you do manage to get into an area where it's too hot and you do get downed, if you do get downed, you can actually revive yourself and bring yourself back to life. You basically get a second chance at it. That in itself is a huge piece of advice for anybody who's just starting Warzone out, is to definitely grab one of those self-revive kits. That is a must in my book in Warzone, either in Plunder or Battle Royale. Both versions, in both versions of Warzone, that is a definite must for beginners. The next piece of advice I have for you guys is when you're setting up your class. Like, let me show you here. on screen. Don't mind the pink RPG. That is for kill cam purposes only, because nothing makes people more mad than looking at a kill cam and you got waxed by a guy with a pink RPG. So let me show you on some of my loadouts what I'm talking about, guys. The next piece of advice I have for you is get yourself this under the tactical section of your loadouts. It's called a Stim Shot. It basically, if somebody manages to crack your armor, it will basically, it's a one-shot deal. You take it, and the guy he'll give himself a shot, and your health will go back up to 100%. It's the name of the game in Warzone is survival. So anything and everything that basically gives you an advantage health-wise to stay alive, you're going to want to have on. And this goes along the lines of a self-revive kit as well. Once again, the name of the game in Warzone is survival. You're definitely going to want to have this in your class's setup for sure. Sticking along the lines of survival and being able to see your enemy before he sees you, you're also, if you are able to either pick one up or put one in your loadouts, a heartbeat sensor is also a must. A heartbeat sensor is also a must. That way you can see your enemies before they see you, and you can either hide or get into a position where you can get a shot off on them before they can see you. So that is also my next piece of advice for newbies. So all of the stuff I've said so far, guys, is to basically just keep you alive as long as possible, because most newbies, I know most new people to Warzone, and most first-time players and beginners, it's if you drop into a really hot zone, it's pretty hard to kind of work your way out of it. So it's you can die easily, and then once you get sent to the gulag, it's not fun, and the gulag's not easy for first timers and for beginners. You get shot there and you die in the gulag and you're done. Your game's over and you have to restart. So all of these pieces of advice are basically to try and help you avoid the gulag and stay alive as long as possible. My next piece of advice is, if you really don't want to move around too much, and you're really not comfortable with trying to sneak up on people that you think you can get shots off on, and or you want to be kind of in that sniper position where you just pick a spot and try and pick people off as they go by. My next piece of advice is, after you land and hit the ground and you pop your map up and you see where the first circle's going to be, you need to basically shrink that down 2 times, and that is going to be somewhat that will give you a somewhat of an idea of what your final circle is going to look like in that match. So, after you land, pop your map up, take a look at it, and basically shrink it down by 2/3, and that's what your final circle is going to look like. And if you're going to be one of those snipers, you basically just put yourself where you think that final circle is going to be. Find yourself a spot in the woods, or a spot up on the hill, or in a tower up on a building, and set yourself up and just hide and wait for people to go by. And when you think that they're not going to see you, take your opportunities, take your shots. So if you're going to go that route to try and win the Warzone, then that would be my advice to you. Find a spot where it's going to be tough for somebody to get at you, and just lie and just hide. If you are a total beginner to this, and this is you're playing your probably first game, you can find a good hiding spot and get inside the top 50 simply just by letting other people take each other out. You can, I mean, you're going to get inside the top 50 if you're just patient and you find a good hiding spot. That's kind of the truth of it. You don't really even have to do any fighting if you have a good enough spot until there's probably around 20 or 30 people left in the match. But that I think that's going to about do it, guys, for my tips for beginners and people just starting off on Warzone. Once again, class setup is very important. If you do manage to get a loadout, which is probably one of the best things you can buy. So one final piece of advice. If you manage to get enough money and you find a buy station and you actually can buy a loadout, which basically Warzone does not allow you to have your custom loadouts to start the match. It does not allow you to have your custom loadouts. You actually have to you have to find enough money to buy and earn that. Now, if you manage to do so, class setup is very important. This will be the last section of this tips for beginners. Class setup is extremely important. You're going to want to be as this is just my opinion now. You're going to want to be as stealthy as possible, but also pick a gun pick a firearm that has enough power to knock people down and get you the kills you need to win the game. So as you guys can see on the screen, I have the I believe that is the M13 with a silencer on it and a red dot for accuracy, plus a 60 round magazine. Those extra 10 10 rounds can be, they can be the difference between getting a kill and not getting a kill. So me personally, I tend to stick with the assault. I tend to stick with the rifles when I play Warzone. I think they're a good mix of controllable and just enough power to knock people down. So I tend to stick with rifles. I'll show you my loadout again. This is my M13 loadout. I roll with my perks. I roll with Cold-Blooded and Ghost. In Warzone, people can call attack helicopters in on you. They can call attack helicopters in, and if you don't have a way to not be seen by that helicopter, it's going to shoot you. It will shoot you, and it will put you in the gulag. And they'll follow you. That helicopter will actually track you. So I roll with the two most important classes to me in Warzone are Cold-Blooded and Ghost. They are a must in my book. They are an absolute must. And to me, they will keep you alive the longest in any Warzone scenario. But that is my last bit of advice for you guys, is if you can buy a loadout, buy one and get your custom class so you can have the perks and the weapons you need to win the match. But once again, guys, I just wanted to put together a short live stream and just give any beginners out there that are trying this out for the first time some kind of helpful tips. And I hope everybody enjoyed the video. I will be live later on tonight at I shouldn't say, well, I'll be live in a little while. I should say this. I will be live in maybe a half hour, 45 minutes, and I will announce the winner of the raffle, or the give. I should say announce the winner of the giveaway at 8:30 p.m. tonight. So stay tuned. Winner of the $10 PSN gift or 10 PSN/Xbox gift certificate will be announced tonight at 8:30 p.m. East Coast time. So Eastern Standard Time. But once again, guys, thanks for watching. I hope y'all have a good rest of your day. I will see you guys later on tonight, and we will announce the winner on stream. Once again, Butchers Block and Patriots Talk. Thank you for watching, guys, and have a great rest of your day. And I am gone.